Andre The Beast, and welcome back to another episode of the Andre The Beast Show. Let's bring on two extraordinary people, one of the greatest home interior designers ever, as far as I'm concerned, Kim Lacy, and her husband, Rasheed. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Great that you guys are here. The reason that we're here, the show, you already know, it's about being in beast mode. And truly, Kim and Rasheed, you guys have truly done that with the things that you guys done for your neighborhood. Kim, being an African American, setting the bar for a major network with HDTV and showing people how to remodel homes. Rasheed, basically keeping us safe. I want you guys to share with us some of the things that motivated you guys, that kept you moving into beast mode. Rasheed, you used to live here. Always been in law enforcement. I'm pretty sure you got some serious stories to tell us, because we've talked, and Kim the same way. So without further ado, I'm gonna see if my co-host has any questions that she might want to ask before we get the ball rolling. Jordan?
I just want to know everything, so let's start.
Okay, great. So Kim, TV star. I remember when Rasheed first started talking about you. I was on my way to Cleveland in the middle of the night driving, and he texted me and said, "You got to watch my girl on HGTV." I said, "Well, who's your girl?" He said, "Kim Lacy." And I'm like, "Rasheed, I'm like 4 hours away from my destination. Is there any way we can record this or whatever?" But when I saw it, I was really impressed. I liked what you've done. I liked how you went into the neighborhoods. I like how you empower people with change, not only changing of the mind, the heart, but the way they looked at things, the way they looked at their living conditions. Take me down the road to what makes Kim Lacy such a powerful individual.
How did you get into it and all that?
Well, let's see, whose question am I going to answer first?
Start with mine first, because then it will go to his.
Yeah.
So how did you get into it?
Well, I've been painting since I was 16. My mom, has always assisted people with decorating their homes during me growing up. But painting from 16, having my own paint business, I worked for DC government for a while, and there was this opportunity with HGTV to do an internship. And it was an interior design and production internship. And I went up for it, interviewed for it, I landed the internship. And just shortly after the internship, they offered me a position on the team to actually work with them. And I worked with them for a few months, and another opportunity came up with them to move to Atlanta. I was in DC. We were doing design to sell, and they were moving the design to sell show. They were going to do an Atlanta edition. So I'm like, hey, I'd love to travel with you guys. I wanted to do a change of scenery. I wanted to do something different. And I really wanted to really jumpstart a career in design with HGTV. So they obliged, and I moved here to Atlanta, and I worked for Design to Sell for about 2 years behind the scenes. I did some on-camera cameos. Then we were doing a pilot for one of my co-hosts on Curb Appeal the Block, John Giddings, an architect, brilliant guy. And we were doing a different pilot for him, and I was doing some painting on that, some artisan, a really cool wall we were doing for a project on that show. And that basically opened the door for me to land a recurring role on Curb Appeal the Block. So they didn't pick up that pilot that we were actually filming, but instead they pushed forward with revamping Curb Appeal, because Curb Appeal had been around for years prior to that. And so our version was to spin on the block. And that's, as Dre mentioned, the neighborhoods, the block version of Curb Appeal the Block was, we would come to your house and do a $25,000 to $30,000 makeover. And we would give the two neighbors on the street, could be a few doors down or right next door or right next on the other side, but we would give two neighbors a makeover. Something small. I think our budget was about $5,000 or less for the neighbor makeovers, but we would choose cool things like, we would take out shrubs, trim shrubs, put in shrubs, paint doors, paint shutters, add shutters, doing the things that are pretty easy things to do, but make a really large impact. And in doing that, it was just really fun because we were, really bringing the neighborhood together and really creating community while we were there. Because, generally people are sitting in their homes, they drive in their garages, you may get a high and a wave back, but in this case, when you've got a TV production company on your street and they're beautifying various homes, it brings everybody out. And we were having block parties and all kinds of stuff. So that's how I got started. That's
awesome.
So Kim, before the Curb Appeal series, what were you actually involved in? What were you doing before that?
Well, before HGTV,
yeah,
I was working contracts and procurement for DC government, and that was a pretty good career path for me. And I plan to be doing that and raising, following my career with DC government. I was just on a completely different career path. It wasn't quite creative,
right,
but it definitely was a pretty good position for someone like me. I was 25 at the time. Was able to buy my first house and all that. So it was cool, but it wasn't, I needed something more. And so here I am in the home and garden industry, and it works. It's great.
What was one of the lowest points of your life before traveling down that destination to become one of the, what I would still consider one of the great designers on the show? What were you, was there any low points that you was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, how do I make the next career choice? Was this something that you've always instilled? Did you have setbacks? Were there setbacks before you became a notoriety public figure?
Well, I guess there's always there are always things that can change the scope of our change our outlook on where we're going.
Right.
I would say I had more of a low point after the show.
And what was that?
Well, our show ended about a year before we were contracted to end.
Mm-hmm.
One of our castmates actually was killed in a motorcycle accident, and so we were in California at the time, and Rasheed and I, Rasheed was the security company was live and in effect in Indianapolis, and we were closing down shop in California for Curb Appeal. And at that point, my identity at that time was to be on television and to do what I was doing and to just continue that,
Mm-hmm.
and I had big plans for that. And, upon the show ending, I didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't really know how to pick up the pieces at that point. And I would have to say I really appreciate Rasheed, for really being there and encouraging me during that time. I came here, even to say I didn't know what I was going to do at that time, I was still getting work.
Right.
I was doing project management jobs for projects for homeowners. So basically, homeowners will hire me to come in and be a project manager for a remodeling project, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I would do is I would hire the general contractor, and I would essentially be the liaison between the homeowner and the general contractor, as well as still designing the remodels, because the design is something that I really very much love.
Right.
And Rasheed is just like, well, you're pretty much doing it all. You're project managing, you're essentially running the jobs for the GCs. Why don't you get your GC's license? And I had not ever thought of that.
What's a GC license? What's a GC license?
General contractor, basically, I have the ability, basically it's not going through someone else to have the ability or the license to build a home from the ground up, to remodel a home, to move walls, to go get permits, to redo electrical, plumbing, whatever large changes that need to happen in a house that are not cosmetic. You need a license to do it. and you need to be able to pull permits to do it right and to follow the international building code to do it right. So, and the liabilities change at that point too. So it really raised the bar for me. Mm-hmm. And it really was what I was missing at the time, because I just didn't, TV at that point was pretty much an identity that I had taken on. And, but now all is well.
Okay. So you basically rebranded yourself. So what's the word we need to use again for that branding thing?
Oh crap.
Anybody know the word? The branding?
No.
Brandithology?
No, no, it's not brandithology.
So you basically, what is it?
Anthropology.
Branthropist.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
So you
for $100.
You so you reinvented yourself. So since you reinvented yourself, how has that changed you? Has it changed you to some degree? Was it difficult going from a mega worldwide icon to now I have to deal with people on a different type of level?
Yeah, it did. You know, with HGTV, you know, the homeowner interaction was different. You know, it was television. You know, yes, we were beautifying things, but we were doing a lot of the beautification, you know, off camera. And then, you know, there's only a 22-minute segment with commercials, you know, 30 minutes, you know, so there's so much that goes into an actual remodel or an actual design project that you see in 22 minutes. And it's something that really would generally take us a week and a half to do. So there's so much of that background work that's done that I am like essentially responsible and in the forefront of doing. And it's truly, what was the question again?
You answered it. Yeah, it was like, how did you go about rebranding yourself, going from a mega star with a TV show like HGTV to now you have to transition your brand into going back to the general population and still know that you don't have that you still have that superstar status, but now you have to transcend that into general population now.
Well, let me say this. You know, it was challenging at first because I was entering into uncharted territory, right?
What do you mean?
Because a lot of what I did a lot of what was done on the show was somewhat done for us. We had a lot of help, you know, and in this case, you know, I'm the entire outfit plus whomever I hired to assist me run, you know, this particular business or run my projects. So I'm responsible for it all. There's no one else to, there's no other shoulders to put, you know, the weight on. It all falls on me. And the uncharted territories is much different when you're a project manager and you're coming and you're seen to have, you know, the pretty smile, the fun-loving attitude, paintings, a few doors, planting plants and bringing all the neighbors in for a kumbaya moment. I mean, that's cool, you know, but being in someone's house and in their pockets, tearing down their walls, jacking up their plumbing, jacking up piers under their house. I mean, that's a whole different arena that you're entering into, and the liability also changes. So the pressure changes a great deal. And so this is generally a male dominated industry. So being a woman new in the industry, essentially new in the industry in the way that I am now in construction, it's one thing when you're in home and garden, and now I'm in construction, you know, it was a game changer. It was just a serious game changer. And there were a lot of days that the pressure was on and it was heating up. And it still does, because there are always so many variables on every job. You know, you're just taking it as it comes, and you have to do it gracefully.
You mentioned something about being a woman in a male dominant role. you're the owner. The HG series is no longer there. You've ventured out into what I call fashion beast mode action, and almost reinvented yourself, rebranding yourself. So with that said, you said, that you entered into a male dominant role. What kind of things have you actually encountered, and more importantly, how did you maneuver through those doors to still keep that brand, to let people know that you know what you're doing, you've paid your dues, and to get that respect that's due, not only because you're good at what you do, but because you were female. In today's world, females definitely need to be acknowledged for being just as strong as their male counterparts.
Yeah, I felt like it put myself in a position where initially, yes, the great thing for me was that I did have HGTV to get in many more doors than I would have had I not. Right. And so that was good. So I'm this trusted face. I'm, essentially in some fashion, a household name, and people recognize me from that. So that assisted me a whole lot. But sometimes that did not matter because, again, I was not chucking the truck. I'm pulling up and, Rasheed's just like, you're going to have to get some polos with, your logo branded on them and stuff like that. I'm coming up like I'll be on the show, I'm looking cute and everything, and I would always get people to ask me like, well, what exactly do you do? Like what of this work that we're hiring you guys to do will you actually be doing? Like, will you be swinging the hammer and cutting the wood,
Right.
A lot of times, people just, some folks in the beginning really just, I don't know.
Well, let me say what I see, what I notice. What I notice in that situation is she has to re-qualify herself every time she talks to someone. She can come up as professional as possible with the background she has, and they still will second guess her. But you have some, jackleg cat pull up in a raggedy pickup truck with tool belt, but because he's a male, they'll give him a job or they'll give him a chance before her sometimes. Mm-hmm. Funny thing about that is, and it's happened a couple of times that I know of. They went with someone else, and then they'll come back to her asking her to fix what these guys are screwed up. And I laugh. I said, "Well, if you do it, charge them out the eyes." Okay.
Well, the other thing to piggyback on that is, generally the client gets a lot more value still for what I bring, because I'm not just coming in as the chuck in the truck dude who's just literally building what you're needing him to build, but I'm also designing what we're going to build, and so you're getting a contractor who has the eye, who knows what, styles are, trends are, what works and what doesn't. And I care about that.
So I think any male one, they need a female to go with them. I
literally had to.
You were broken a little bit.
What'd you say, Jordan?
Oh, I was saying if there's a male contractor, I think they always need a female with them, because I don't trust a male contractor to know how to do what I, make it fit, colors and design. And I always want a female's opinion. So I think it's great what you're doing. Yeah, I would think more families would be like, yeah, I want to go with this route, because she's going to get the whole picture. She's going to know the maternal side. She's going to know the boss side, the wife side, and she knows the man cave that the man wants.
The first year was rough. Now my work speaks for itself, and so that's what I had to do. I had to really go in there and kick out some bomb renovations and some bomb remodels, and not just that they look like a pretty picture, but they're structurally sound and they're done quality, and a lot of times there have been a lot of projects that I put a lot of more of my money into to make them right as well, so we eventually had to stop paying for projects that we weren't going to be living in. But I'm not saying we were paying for all the projects, but there just be things that are not in a person's budget that I know is going to be better for my quote unquote pretty picture, because I also come from that side. Everything has to be a pretty picture, but now we don't have that problem at all, but I had to go in and pay my dues, and I respect that. I may have assumed that coming in from Curb Appeal that was my silver spoon. And again, I'm coming into an industry that's been male dominated. And I respect that I had to come in and pay my dues and show and prove that I can actually be a force to reckon with in this industry. And I am.
Well, that's a tough beast statement there. A force to be reckoned with. So, Rasheed, I'm gonna switch the platform a little bit over to Rasheed. Always been a law enforcement. Tell me, let me put it the right way where it makes sense. You're in Atlanta. Atlanta's making tremendous headlines along with Miami and other things. What have you seen? I want people to go inside the state of mind of you as a police officer, someone that needs to be respected but not feared. Someone that
what's it like right now?
Yeah, what's it like for you there? And tell us, if you had to do something different to bring change from your perspective as the man that's carrying the gun and the man that's carrying the shield that has to deal with the human factor. How does that play into your everyday life right now?
Well, first of all, I would urge and caution people to look at the whole picture. Whatever the media sometimes pushes out is not what things are. They have a narrative and they push that narrative. The things that they're pushing, do they happen? Absolutely. Do people get hurt and killed out there unjustly? Absolutely, it happens, and that's unfortunate. My I guess goal when I go out of the house in the morning is to come home. Period. I want to come home to my family, and that's in the mind of every police officer. Matter of fact, that's one thing they teach you in the academy. Your main job is to go home at night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have officers out there doing a tough job. You're not always liked. People don't like to be told what to do, when to do it. It just is what it is. People want to do what they want to do. And when they have a human being, walk up to them and tell them, hey, you're breaking the law, you're infringing upon somebody else's, peace, you need to stop. They don't want to, they don't care to hear that. So you have to, you have to live with it. You understand, people see police on the worst day sometime of their lives and some on the best day of their lives, right? Mm-hmm. As a police officer, when you go in, you have to understand, my first call of the day may be a homicide. So I'm here looking at some human being's body parts that are not the way they're supposed to be, right. And then 30 minutes to an hour later, I'm going to answer a call on domestic where two people just can't get along. They're fighting over cheesecake, and I'm not. This is real. I'm not even joking about it.
Yeah. And
then once you leave the cheesecake fight, then you may have to go to a person who's locked their dog in the car, and they're upset with you because it took you longer than they thought it should take you to get there because you just left a priority call, and you're doing this 8 to 12 hours a day. So when you come home, you're beat. Sometimes you're dealing with folks, you're just exhausted. But what I will say is my approach to it is I try to be calm and collected dealing with folks. The older I get, the better I get. I try to teach people along. When you're interacting with people on like traffic stops and things like that, you don't have a lot of time to interact. You have to get in, get out, and get back to work. But I try to educate folks on why I'm stopping them. I don't always write tickets. If they're riding around with their cell phone, here in Georgia, it's the hands-free. They have a Georgia hands-free act.
I think we just
passed that.
We just passed that when last week, July 1. Yeah.
So you can't have your cell phone in your hand for any reason. You can't have it in your lap. You can't be riding with it at all unless you pull over.
You can't have it in your lap.
Nope, you can't have it in your lap at all. Yeah. So a lot of people know it. Some people don't. Some people get caught up. You're looking at your nav. You got a text.
What are you doing with Google when you're like Google mapping?
Yeah, people do all kind of things. I watch people film themselves. The craziest stuff. But some people don't know. So one thing I do is I like to tell them, hey, listen, this is the law. This way you can Google it. You can look it up for yourself. I'm gonna give you a verbal warning today, but this is what you're facing if you're caught again. We're not always out to make your life miserable. But that's my approach to it. Some officers are different, but that's my approach to it. I try to teach or try to educate a little bit. Now, some people don't want to hear that either. Like, look, man, give a ticket, let me get out of here. So I had a lady do that to me the other day. Actually, she was complaining about me pulling her over and wasting her time. And I said, well, ma'am, I was actually going to give you a verbal warning, but hold on, let me give you something else. Scratch or something off, but
a $200 ticket.
Yeah.
So, me and you talked in depth, Rasheed, about being on the podcast, and when we was talking about, I said, I really want to do a show that puts people in the mind of a police officer. We need to learn to respect the law. And if you had to do what, let me rephrase this. What are some of the things that you've witnessed since all of this pandemonium has taken place that you go, this is really fucked up? Or they could look at it in another approach and solve stuff. Like, what have you encountered since this has taken place?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, nothing's really new. This stuff has been going on. It's just being broadcast now. Depends on what area you're working in. But I'll tell you this: a lot of people, they pump their fists. Black Lives Matter. They pump their fists, and they'll criticize the police officer. I had one guy tell me, "You guys need more training." He was in the military, and he's gonna tell me. I said, "Okay, yeah, okay. So, have you been to a police academy?" Well, no. I said, "Oh, okay. Do you know what type of training police officers receive?" Well, I mean, not really. So how can you say we need more training? Well, I just think you just need more training. I said, "Oh, okay. All right." I said, "Well, it's easy to say that when you don't know what you're talking about." Right. I said, "Well, why don't you go to a citizens police academy or go to one of these don't shoot seminars, and then come back and talk to me about the training. Then we can discuss that." But people don't really know. Can we use more training? Absolutely. But in today's world where they're shutting down a lot of the psychiatric facilities, you have a lot of people out on the street with mental illness. And as a police officer, you have to diagnose that on the spot. Doctors go to school for years to be able to do that, right? Yeah. As a police officer, we have to, do that. We take maybe a 40-hour at the most course to be able to diagnose and figure out what we're going to do with this person, because we get called to people's homes when their their family member has spazzed out because they have some kind of issue, and they call police as a last resort. Well, right. We're not doctors, we're not shrinks, we're not psychiatrists. Some also do have those expertise, but most don't. And when you come to the house, we don't. What do we have to do? What can we do? The only thing we can do is try to calm a person down and talk them out of it. But in our last case, our last resort is putting you in handcuffs and taking you to jail. And it's unfortunate because people with mental health issues should not have to go through that. Right. And unfortunately, a lot of people get hurt, get killed, in those situations. Some of the craziest things I've dealt with out here now since this pandemic, since the murder of the guy in Minneapolis, is a lot of people are using it as an excuse to do other things. When you have people that are really peacefully protesting because they see an outrage and they want change, you have people behind the scenes doing, crime. We call them wolves. They're behind the sheep, acting like wolves. I tried to pull a guy over the other day for running a stop sign, speeding him on his cell phone, and he's yelling out the window, "I ain't trying to get killed today." But he doesn't stop the car. Yeah. And I'm mad. I'm like, I got frustrated. I pulled up next to him, and I had I said some things to him I think I got in trouble for, and I turned off. I didn't pursue it. But you have people that use this as a cloak to do other things. Here in Atlanta, it's bad. In the city, I work outside the city of Atlanta. I'm in the metro area. I work outside the city of Atlanta. And
what do you mean, like it's bad? What people just really abusing the situation with the murder of
yes,
the guy? Yeah,
because you got people out here. You got car clubs coming out, shutting down whole streets, doing donuts in districts where a lot of businesses are. They're over Father's Day weekend. They had on one block area, I think they had like 12 shootings with 4 people were killed or something like that. I mean, and that's been in a lot of major U.S. cities. Every weekend there's something like that. It's in New York. It's off the chain.
Have you seen?
Because they've taken resources away from some of these crime units, these crime suppression units, and they disbanded one in New York. They disbanded it and sent 600 officers back to different locations, and now their crime is off the chain. I mean, they're murdering people, wholesale, and people are going to realize real quick, that the thing is not to defund the police. We do have people out there that should not be the police. We understand that, but that's probably true in every profession.
Right.
When you have doctors misdiagnosing folks and giving medication they shouldn't. You have different professions that they have. You deal with human beings,
right.
But it just, one thing I will say, one positive thing that I say, people have come up to me more now than ever, thanking me, just letting us know how grateful they are for the job we're doing.
Right.
I went to a restaurant last week and I bought dinner for my family. I was getting carry out, and it was in excess of $80, and a family paid for it. And the lady came out and said, "Hey, it's been paid for." And I said, "Huh?" I said, "No, that's too much." I said, "Who paid for it?" And she didn't want to tell me, but she didn't tell me. And I went to the family. I had tears in my eyes, and I'm thanking them like, "Thank you. I didn't need that, but thank you so much. I appreciate that." But we got a outpour of positive and people are just thankful for the job we do because they see how hard it is. So yeah, this stuff is shining light on some of the bad, but it's also shining light on a lot of the good that we do as well.
That's good.
Have you seen has the unity of the police force there changed since all this has happened? Have you seen any changes in the police department? Has it become a more united structure based on what's taking place, or have you seen more of a my life matters, my life, the split between the two?
Well, what I have noticed that's good. It's one thing they teach you as well in the academy. When you see your partner is, going too far, you are to, back him off or get him out of the area, because you're saving his life and somebody else's life. You're saving his career, because, people as human beings, we go through things. We're going through divorce. We're arguing with our spouse. We're arguing with our kids. We had a death in the family. We're human too, right? So you go to work with these things on your mind sometime, and you're expected to set that stuff to the back and do your job. And then sometimes your personal life bubbles up and somebody hits a button and you just spaz out. But what we have been real, cognizant of lately is like, hey, back your man off, pull him off, get him out of the area and handle the situation. That's one thing that they've always taught, but it's always been that kind of that thin line, that thin blue line where people say of silence, where we kind of we cover up for each other. That's not always true. It happens, but that's not always true. But now more than ever, we're real cognizant of, hey, we are our brother's keeper, and we'll make sure that no one's going too far. We'll make sure that we're saving our brother's life, and not only our brother in blue, but our fellow citizen. We're out here to help them. We're not out here to hurt them. In Georgia, it's illegal to drive without insurance. Your vehicle is supposed to be towed immediately, no question. So the reason why I say that, we pulled over, one of our partners pulled over a couple of people 2 or 3 nights ago, and they didn't have insurance. Well, come to find out, their house just burned down, and I remember the address because we had some issues over in that area. They just lost their whole house. House is rubble. They said it went up so fast, it's just gone. Mm-hmm. And these people are staying in a hotel. They don't have insurance on their car. We're supposed to tow their vehicle. We're human. They're human. At that point, when does a job take over being human? No, we can say, look, just go where you're going and stay until you get your insurance. We're not going to tow your vehicle. You're already, dealing with some serious issues. Right. We're not going to compound those issues for you. Those are the type of moments people don't see. Right. But we're all human. We're all in this human rat race together.
How is it to be the wife of an officer?
As a police officer, I'm no better.
I was asking, how is it to be the wife of an officer during this time?
Oh, wow. Ooh. Well, it's interesting you asked that. We've had some very, I'm a citizen, right? He's a police officer. And I, am a citizen who's watching the news. I'm actually slowing down on watching the news because it's so tragic and depressing. And I actually mentioned to him before that, I feel even more hurt with the media and the propaganda against the citizens and the police right now, because I have a husband who is police and he's out there every day. And I listen to people really hate and dislike the police, the police. And so, and I'll be honest, I never even imagined being married to a police officer. You asked me that before, I would say, no, like that's ridiculous, right? But my husband's a different kind of guy. He's actually a peace officer. This is something that he enjoys his job. He enjoys making the difference. He enjoys, making people feel safe. He enjoys making sure that everyone is safe. That means that the person who's committing crimes against your safety and your humanity is being dealt with, right? then we have these debates because of what the propaganda that is in the media right now. Not all of it is propaganda. There's just, I think there is not a very good balance of, just like he said, the good and the bad, right? We're only getting the bad. We're only getting things that infuriate us, or we get things that put fear in us. And so we've had a lot of heated debates about certain scenarios where people have lost their lives, and we're seeing how those lives are being handled in the media, and how justice is being served in the media, whether it's for the person who's committed the crime or the police officer who's essentially, by certain standards, committed the crime or done their job, And so we've had these conversations, and they end peacefully for us in a way. But I'm still a citizen, and he's a police officer, but he definitely, brings forth a different perspective for me on just how difficult it is. And a lot of times, he has shown me, like, for instance, they're showing us one clip in the media, and then there's like another 5 minutes before something actually happened, or more, footage afterwards that bring together an entire story, not just a one-sided version of it. But that's not to say that everything in the media and everything that's happening is erroneous. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I now have to live on both sides of the coin and not just one. And that has been a challenging balance for me, but I'm figuring it out, and with his help, because as you see, this guy, I've constantly said, dude, like, I wish that I want him to teach class about, what our actual laws are, how to handle the police, or how to handle if we're getting pulled over for whatever the reason is, and knowing our rights, just so that we're able to be respected by the police and also respect the police, so that we don't think that the police is our enemy, and he has a very good way of, I guess you would say, calming that force field down, so it is a little challenging also. And a lot of stuff he doesn't tell me, Jordan, because there was one time I saw this video, and I cried just looking at the video. And this guy that was in the video, he was breaking into someone else's house to get away from them as he was committing a crime. And I'm looking at this video, and I was just in tears, And so from there, he's just like, I don't want to show you anything else. Well, at the same time, I would like to know what's happening. At the same time, I guess I'm not ready for it either. So, and then just as he said, you have people that are now just hating the police. And I don't want my husband going up on that particular call or that car, and there's a person that's just wrong, or feeling that they're going to be done wrong no matter what, and they're so defensive, and they don't know that they've got the gentle giant here who's going to be fair and want to understand the circumstance and really weigh all of your options to help you make, well, for everyone to make the best decision, I guess. So that was a loaded question, Jordan.
Sorry,
there's
no.
a lot about being the wife of a police officer.
The father of my children is a police officer, so I get it.
Yeah.
So with that said, we're going to wrap up in a minute, but I have a couple questions that I want to focus on. This show is about impacting people and changing lives and playing it forward, and you guys have definitely done that. With that said, what are some of the things that you feel you might want to do or you might want to see that will impact people even more?
Who's that question for, Andre?
Both of you guys. But you can take it, Rasheed. Go ahead.
Well, I guess in terms of what we're going through on my side of the world, people just need to be more understanding. Look at issues in its entirety, and then when I tell people you want to change something, you can't change it from a distance. Get in, like I said, go. Most police departments allow citizen ride-alongs.
Okay.
I encourage people to do a citizen ride-along with the police.
How do
I
they
encourage people to
how do they do that? How do they do that? Do they
get
call
in contact the
911?
local police
Contact
department or
them.
sheriff's office and inquire about that. Most allow you. You might have to go through a background check and sign a waiver in most times, but most people can do it, and you can just ride along with an officer for a shift or so, and just kind of see firsthand what they go through. You can also inquire about shoot don't shoot courses, and that's where they put you in real live scenarios, and they kind of give you a little training on how to deal with dealing with the weapons and dealing with people. Then they'll put you in a real live situation and see how you respond. A lot of Black Lives Matter advocates, one in particular on the West Coast did it. He was real vocal about police. He took that course and he changed his whole outlook.
Really?
And I think people need to do that as well. I'm not saying that all police are doing right. We're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. But a lot of people have issues with police who have never had an issue with a police officer. They've never had a citation. They've never been beaten. They've never been anything. But they'll stand next to a person who has, and they'll live vicariously through them. And I hate them. So I just say, people, just think for yourselves. Don't be sheep. Think for yourselves. Look at things in the totality of the circumstances. And get involved yourself. Go ride with a cop. And if you're looking for a career change, law enforcement is a good career change. Not that much money, but it's a good career change. It's fulfilling. Depending on what you want to do. With your life. But that's what I tell people. Go on the inside and see for yourself. Don't keep looking from the outside and judging things.
Kim, what about you?
Now, he wasn't saying that he hates those people. He's just saying that those people assume that they hate the police without ever having a run-in with the police. I just want to make sure that we know that.
That was clear.
For me, I am, I'm very empathic in a way where what's happening around us bothers me a lot. And, there just needs to be a lot more unity. And this just has to do with us being human just in general. I feel like there's so much happening right now that is portraying a division between us. And I feel like we owe each other more credit than that. Mm-hmm. Like we've come much further than that. Now, I'm not saying racism or anything like that doesn't exist. I'm not saying that there are things that are not being done improperly on police forces and in the government and politics and all that. I'm not saying any of that. Right. Those things are happening, yes. But the large divide that is being pushed, I'm not feeling that at all. And I just feel that we should definitely give ourselves much more credit and really realize that we have come further. We should come a lot farther. Yes, we've come a long way and we should go farther, and then we've got like, the whole mask thing, with COVID, and that's legit, fine, whatever. But like now, if I see you, Dre, right? Yeah. What am I gonna want to do when I see you? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm gonna want to come and give you a hug and a warm embrace, like, hey, this is my brother. Mm-hmm. And now suddenly, I haven't seen you in a year. I'm gonna give you an elbow pump, and lo and behold, if I just got a hair in my nose that tickled my nose and I sneezed, and you're like, oh, like you don't want to have anything to do with me. So now we're just not only is there this divide that's being pushed, yeah, but we're like, now we've got this COVID situation that's pushing us further and further apart. And when are we going to come back to love and humanity and togetherness, because that's what we need. Right. And so I'm just looking at all of this and I'm like, what is actually happening here? Wow. Like, how can we change this? So,
Well, I think you guys are doing it right now. Rasheed's making a difference every single day. And Rasheed, trust me, I say a prayer every day when you go out, because just like, Kim is worried about you, your whole family's worried about you. I respect the law. I don't want to fear the law, but I want to respect the badge, and I want to also respect the fact that you have control over the safety of me. Kim, before we wrap it up, tell me, share with the viewers about your business in Atlanta. If they need your services or whatever, how can they reach you? And the same with Rasheed.
Outside of Atlanta?
What did you say, Jordan?
Do you leave Georgia? Will you do things in other states?
Yeah, she does stuff in other states.
I do. I am working on getting my license where it has reciprocity in multiple states. Let's say I can come to Indianapolis, which I've done for Dre also, and do some design and give him some insight on some things to do. Even hiring, people there to do the job and manage the job. But as far as a license in, like Indiana, for instance, I don't have that, but it doesn't stop me from doing work in Indiana,
Okay.
right? It's just a matter of gaining various partnerships in multiple states. My website is firesignDB.com. Our niche is in remodeling. We are remodeling beautiful homes, one home at a time. We like to have a partnership with our clients. I tell my clients all the time, this is going to be like a 3-month marriage, depending on what the project is.
Some of the longest marriages lately.
Yes. And just to let them know that it is definitely a partnership. Like some days you're going to get on my nerves. Some days I'm going to work your nerve, but at the end of the day, we're here for the final result. And that's a beautiful, remodel, beautiful makeover, renovation. So I'm going to give you my email address, and they can contact me if they're interested in doing any work. And if they want any design work that they want, if they have any design work too, I can do those things remotely. A lot of things are being done via Zoom right now too because of COVID.
Right.
So I can help out, no problem.
Okay. Now, don't forget, we got Kern Palmer window treatments. We're taking a commercial break here to advertise for Kern Palmer's interior designs, window treatments, Kim. So if she does do out-of-state stuff now, so that's network and do all this together. We're family.
That's fun.
Absolutely. And I always have so many people that need window treatment. I have some people right now, Kern, so tell her to give me a ring.
I love my custom windows right now. But anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure having you guys on the show. Like I said, being in beast mode or carrying that name Beast means a lot to me. And the show is designed to have people that impact other people and change other people's lives. And together, the platform is here for you guys if you want to come back, share more of your ideas. And
I want pictures next time.
And pictures. Kim, you guys gotta. Well, we're coming to Georgia, so let me just shut up. It's time for us to come to Georgia.
Well, I tell you what, let's put all the great positive energy out there for me. My projects aren't just about coming in and doing a remodel. It is truly about the relationships I have with my clients.
Right.
The same as in building that community with my clients. So. We're going to put all good energy out there for another show coming that we're going to just pay it forward, continue paying it forward.
Absolutely.
And I like that. So
make it happen.
With that said, hey, love you guys. Rasheed, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Take him out to get him a steak. I know what he wants, steak and potatoes. And Kim, you're looking beautiful. Kim, you're looking beautiful as always. Guys, thank you for being on the show.
Great speaking with
Hope
you.
to talk to you guys again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.